There is so much synchronicity, symbolism, metaphors, just little nods from the unconscious, from the other realms. Things are becoming weird. Since I put out that video the other day, and so many of you amazing souls have messaged me and left comments and these sorts of things, and it started to blow the fuck up. It's starting to gain a lot of momentum. So we're all on the right track, and some of the people that have given me pointers and pointed me in directions, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Something interesting is starting to happen. The same that Jung went through in the 20 odd 30 odd years that it took him to be able to go through the process of the Red Book, all of the symbols and the work and the active imagination, these sorts of things, I'm starting to get a glimpse of. So I started listening to the Red Book. I listened to it years ago, did lots of active imagination and shadow work and stuff like that. That was years ago. I started listening to it again because I was like, all right, I need my boy Jung to come into my world to be able to give me better frameworks and better questions, better introspection, because I'm going through a big bout of shadow work again. I started feeling this in about probably early March, late February, where I knew things were about to shift for me. When you get that uncertain, it's hard to put words to. There's something weird that you're about to go through, and you know that you're about to go through a transformation again, but you can't put your finger on what it is. Thankfully, I've got this amazing book here, Archetypes of the Collective Unconscious, to be able to help me go through and to think more about what I'm experiencing. So the other day, I was doing some listening to Sleep Token, but intentionally to apply the lens from the archetypes, looking at the things like the anima and shadow, looking at certain other things that I'm not going to be going into in this video, and had noticed people talking about the twin flame, all these different, pagan, just like there's a lot of different stuff going on, and applying all of that into the lens of Sleep Token, into the lens of the songs, and doing my own interpretation and stuff like that. I noticed that when I stopped, I went for about an hour, and I'm walking around while I'm doing this so that I'm moving my body and, allowing thoughts and feelings and, physical movement, kinetic movement to be able to help channel everything into my phone while I'm doing the process. And I stopped. And when I stopped, all of a sudden I look up and my visual field starts getting fucky. So the waking state is starting to become more dreamlike. My dreams for the last 3 nights have been ridiculous. So my dreams are starting to become more lifelike. There's a cohesion starting to happen inside of myself, which is a part of the individuation process. It was also part of the process that made Jung damn near go schizophrenic and go into a psychosis. This here, inside of this book, in the figures at the back, this is what my visual field was starting to become like. So for those who have read Jung, know, the symbols of the self have started to present them to me in mandalas, specifically in figure 3. Yeah, figure 3 here. This is Jung's framework for what the archetype of the self is, with all of the archetypes inside of it. It is terrifying, to say the least. I don't know what to make of it. Apparently, what I'm about to embark upon has become a part of my own personal myth, because for whatever reason, my soul, my unconscious, whatever you want to call it, has latched onto this, much the way that a lot of you guys have latched onto it as well. However, I want to put a little caveat in here before we get taken over and possessed. And a few people have said to me through comments and through DMs that they've actually had a trauma bond to Sleep Token. So let's cut that shit out and make sure that we're coming from really integrated, really intentional spaces for why we're doing what we're doing, especially when it comes to shadow work, especially when it comes to twin flame, with anything else that we're going through the spiritual, psychological framework, the energetic framework. Need to be very careful. All of us are going into mass formation psychosis. We need to be very careful with this. So much the way, think like the George Floyd riots with, Nazi Germany, these sorts of things carry a certain energy. Now, I'm not saying that that's the energy that is possessing us. However, we're all feeding into the collective, and the collective is feeding from us. Much the way that sleep talks about devouring vessel is the same thing that's happening to us. So we need to be very intentional with our energy. We need to be very intentional with our psyche, because psychosis can come from this very quickly. We all need to make sure that when we are intentionally listening to Sleep Token, that we're not being taken over, we're not being possessed, because there's things that lurk in our unconscious, archetypes, that will literally come up and possess and grip the back of your skull and determine where your focus of intention, where your consciousness gets directed. So be very intentional with that. All of us, all of the people that have dove headfirst into Sleep Token that don't understand what's actually going on because there's so much anonymity around it. There's so much unconscious, just beautiful oozing stuff. But there's also darkness. We need to be very careful with ourselves and protect yourself, because if you are one of the deep thinkers like I am, and deep feelers like I am, very psychologically minded, very much looking into putting meaning onto life, beware. And that's where I'm going to leave this video. Discuss down in the comments. Let's continue the discussion. Jump into my DMs if you've got some advice or some little threads to be able to pull upon while I put together all of this stuff. But we're in for a fucking big ride. Got Sleep Token tonight. I cannot wait. I'm going to burst into tears immediately. And like I said in the previous video, if you guys see me there, come say g'day. G'day. I found my people. The deep thinkers, the deep feelers, those who see life through a different lens. So much love, take care, and follow me to rise higher.